Good morning, grandkids. It's time for another reading of another chapter of my story that I'm writing about Dorkly the young wizard. This is chapter 11. After Conley sent the guard away, he dressed in his red robes, trimmed in gold and belted in gold. No wizardly tricks on his belt this time. His son would speak the truth with him, or there would be consequences. After pacing his rooms for a while, he went out to his sitting room and sat, restless but in deep thought. He finally summoned a servant and ordered him to bring him a morning repast, and with hot tea and a cold mead. As the sun rose, the king went into the throne room, sat down, tapping his fingers nervously on the gold-inlaid arm of his throne. How was he going to handle this? He was thinking. He didn't want to be too strict with Dermis, but he didn't intend to let him hold back and keep secrets either. What was this woman like? What was Dermis's intentions with her? And what about this child yet to be born? Just then a guard ushered in the citizens, left them before the throne, then retreated back to the doors. I guess I'd better tend to business while I'm waiting for my son, he thought. Looking up, he said, "Good morning, Mr. Burns. What might you be in need of today?" As he felt Wizard Gorman enter from behind the throne and come forward to stand slightly behind it, and to his right. Conley acknowledged him and continued on with the citizens. Meanwhile, the guard, sent out earlier, had arrived in Longport. He quickly found and retrieved Major Bonister, and the two headed toward Dermis's house. Back at the palace, Dorkly was up early and standing before his scrying table. He threw his pointy hat on the floor and placed his hands on the table and whispered, "Today is going to be an interesting and exciting day." And he rubbed his hands together. Dermis is in trouble. The king is bewildered, no doubt. A strange lady is involved, and I get to watch it and hear it all. He slowly looked back up. "Anyone calls me away from here, I won't go." And he dipped his grinning face back over the scrying bowl. In the throne room, things had quieted down with the citizens for a bit. Wizard Gorman quietly asked his king if there was any further news about Dermis. "Has he arrived yet? Or have you heard any rumors from any of the citizens?" "No, he hasn't arrived yet, but it shouldn't be long now. There doesn't seem to be any rumors going on, at least none that have reached my ears. I hope he won't give the guards I instructed to bring him in too much trouble. I still don't know how I'm going to handle this. I feel reluctant to make too many decisions myself. After all, he is a grown man. But I don't really want him to feel too much freedom in this either. I guess when he gets here, whatever will happen, will happen." "Where's your son at, do you know?" "Haven't a clue," Gorman chuckled. "Probably in some girl's bed. You want me to get him?" "Nah, just was wondering. He's probably secretly watching everything that's going on," the king grinned. "Oh, you're probably right about that," Gorman chuckled. Earlier in Longport, the two guards were knocking on Dermis's cottage door. Dermis sat up on the side of the bed, bleary-eyed and slightly shaking his head. Two more knocks on the door, louder this time. Dermis staggered to the door, yawning and scratching his head. He opened the door a crack and peeped out, not really seeing, and said, "Yeah?" One of the guards said, "Open up, Dermis. The king wants you." At that, Dermis was awake. He quickly opened the door and stared at the two guards. Then his shoulders dropped as he looked away from the guards and quietly said, "He knows." Yeah, said Bonester. "Get dressed, get the lady, and hurry up. We're to bring you both back to court." "Man, I hope I get to stay in there to hear this," and Bonester laughed. Dermis slammed the door in his face while saying, "We'll be out in a bit." He rushed over to the bed where Mandy was sitting up, rubbing her eyes. "Get up and get dressed, quick as you can. My father knows, probably everything, and has sent guards to escort us back to the palace." He was dressing as he talked, and as she was getting up and starting to dress. I'm assuming he knows about the baby. I think that's his main worry, or inquisitiveness. "Will he take the baby away? I mean, will he make us get rid of it? I can't do that, Dermis." And she began to cry. No, I don't think Father is like that." He went to her and put his arms around her. He lifted her face, brushing the tears off her cheeks with his hands. Then he lifted her chin up and kissed her. "Don't worry. This is my fault. I've just been reluctant to tell him, so don't worry. Come on, let's go." And they walked to the door hand in hand. "It's about time," Bonester chuckled. "Oh, stuff it," Dermis snarled. "Mandy, would you be more comfortable riding with me? You can sit in front and lean back against me." "Yes, I think that would be better for the baby," she said. The two guards, still smiling, looked at one another at the same time and wiggled their eyebrows at each other at the same time. Dermis cautioned the guards that they would not be galloping on the way back. "So don't even try it," he said, and he frowned at them. Bromley, smiling, gave a short salute, and they were all heading home. Later, in the early afternoon, things had dwindled down with the citizens before the king, and he had told the guards to shut the doors, telling the guards outside to turn anyone else away for today. Conley let out a big sigh and hoped that his son would soon be arriving. He and Gorman conversed a bit, but soon Dorkly came rushing in from his rooms and dropped a bow to the king, straightening up quickly and looking around. "Has he arrived yet?" Dorkly asked, a little out of breath. "Who?" the king asked, trying not to smile, as Gorman had to turn aside to hide his own smile. "Who? Your son." "Which one? I have two, you know." Conley was almost grinning. Dorkly stared at his king, then let his shoulders slump and asked, "May I stay, my king, sire?" Conley laughed and said, "You're so easy to tease, I can't resist. Yes, you may stay. Go back here by your father, if he will put up with you." "Oh, I'll put up with him," said Wizard Gorman. "I'll box his ears." He wasn't smiling either, Dorkly noted. The king drummed his fingers. He caught himself doing that a lot lately. Gorman, staring sternly at Dorkly, whispered, "See anything interesting?" Dorkly, full of the fidgets, whispered, "Yes, and he's almost here with her." And that's the end of today's chapter. So, I hope you enjoyed that one. I will see you next week with another chapter. Goodbye for now, grandkids.